Good evening, everybody. This is John Marola from Keeping It Real Section 5 Football. And this is our third season, our third episode of our third season. And overall, this is our 101st episode of Keeping It Real. So, can't believe we've gotten this far, but it's been a lot of fun. As you can see, my two partners are out of town. Paul is down in Florida, and Dave is down in Georgia. So, in their replacement, on my far right, I have a friend of mine that's been on a couple of times. He's Aquinas Hall of Famer, former writer for Super Prep magazine, Bob Ebert. Bob, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Nice to be here.
And our man in the middle, back-to-back now, defending Section 5 champion coach, Class A, Stephen Lian. Steve, thank you for being here.
It's great to be back. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And you're our first guest of the new year as far as coaches. We're getting into the coaches, and the first one I was thinking of was you, because what you guys have been doing for the last couple of years. You know, it's been a heck of a run.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's been fun, that's for sure.
A lot of work, but it is fun.
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to have Bob start off with a couple, and then we're just going to go from there.
Okay. You've been there, 14 or 15 years?
Yeah, sounds about right. 14, I think, as head coach, and 16 overall.
Now, prior to your going to Brighton, Brighton was not exactly a football powerhouse. Now you've reached that stage, I think, so tell us a little bit how you got there.
I was an assistant coach in Pittsburgh for 10 years, under 3 different head coaches: Scott Barker, Fred Rickey, and Keith Milinich, all of whom I learned a ton from. And then I'd been a teacher in Brighton the whole time, so when it was time to branch out, I kind of went and did that, and went over to Brighton, and it was an exciting time and an opportunity to take over a program that hadn't experienced a lot of recent success, and kind of try to make it my own. And I was really lucky to have assistant coaches like Andrew Fox around, and then his old college friend and teammate Michael Weimer, who we kind of stole from you guys,
Yep.
And then Mike Wayne, who's the head coach at Fairport,
Yep.
To form the nucleus of the staff that we had over those years, and then obviously adding great people to it. But that was kind of the core group that helped me start it all, and worked really, really hard, and gave everything they had, and now we are where we are. So a lot of credit goes to those guys.
How did you actually change the culture out there, though?
It's interesting. It was, in terms of enthusiasm and hunger for football, I did find when I got there, it wasn't as much needed to be changed as you'd think. The kids there who were playing loved it and wanted to give everything to it. And the parents that were a part of it loved it and wanted to do what they could. And I think they just lacked a little bit of direction. And so we really quickly addressed, the number one thing was the strength and conditioning program and building the weight room. And that was kind of the foundation of what I had learned in the previous 10 years over at Pittsford. So we built that up and made the weight room a place where the kids really enjoyed being every day. Like, if you just wait for football season, well, that's only a few months of the year.
Right.
But if you make the weight room a place where kids want to be every single day after school, that only helps grow. Like, our numbers weren't great, but then we had this weight room culture. So kids that maybe were a lacrosse player that hadn't played football, or a baseball player that played when they were younger but went away from it, all of a sudden our program was the only one that was there every single day together after school, and we were able to accumulate more and more athleticism and more talent, and the culture really came out of the time, an hour and a half every single day after school. That was really how the culture formed, and the kids that wanted to play together and work hard together. It wasn't hard to get kids that wanted to learn about football and wanted to play hard, and what I really found refreshing was we never had to coax our kids into playing tough. Like, our kids were always really physical from the day that our staff took over. We just had to build their bodies up so that physicality and that mentality could result in some more outcomes on the field, which we did over time.
I remember talking last year when you were here. You were very excited, which is your base. It was the weight room. You got the weight room looking and working as you wanted it to, and some people don't understand really how important that is.
Yeah, it's everything, and we've been lucky. We've had multiple athletic directors over my time there, but every single one of them, one common theme with all of them was anything that we felt like we needed to build strength and conditioning in Brighton, they supported. They knew that it would support all athletes. They knew it was good for the entire school community. So they've all of them were really supportive of it. We've continued to add to it even since the season ended. 3 more power racks in the weight room and those kind of things. And we've had this great partnership over the last 3 or 4 years with the University of Rochester. And having some great strength coaches that have worked tirelessly. Austin Blumbergs, who was with us the last couple of years, was amazing and hugely instrumental in the success we've had and the fact that we were finally healthy going into the playoffs last year, and when we hadn't been during the regular season. And then, he's moved on, and now we have other guys that are working. But that's been great for us. So us as coaches before, we're running the weight room, and that's a lot of time and a lot of energy. And now we have those guys to run it, and now we can go every day after school and just be there to support the culture and really develop those things. So that's been huge.
That is. And I know that you were very excited last year as far as, that's your foundation.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about, we were just talking about off air a little bit, was kids in your program, now that you coached for the last couple of years, that now have gone on to college. And I said, let's talk about those guys, because you brought up one just at the end of when we were talking that I know a lot of people don't even know about.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back, like over the last time, we've had so many kids playing at all levels of football. 2 guys that graduated for us, and they were our seniors on our 2021 team that became national champions at Cortland. And we've got guys that are all over the place, and we've been really lucky to have, I think, about, if you include this current graduating class, 6 guys going Division I. We've got 5 guys, that were at one point or will be on the University of Buffalo roster. This coming fall, there'll be four of our players that are there, 2 linemen that have been there already. Alex Heiner, who started at guard last season. Val Contratenko, another guard, who hopefully will get a little bit more run this year. But then Matthew Heininger, who was the AGR Player of the Year, is early enrolled. He's already working out at linebacker there. And then Amari Snowden, another senior linebacker, will be joining him in June. So we're super excited about that. Tyler Martinovich, who is our quarterback, is playing at FCS Merrimack and playing outside linebacker there. And then coming back, we've got a nucleus of guys that I think are pretty sought after. Justin Medina has interest from a number of places, including Buffalo. Titus Nebbia is another lineman we have that's got interest from a number of places. And then Zamar Tooks, D lineman we have, that just recently picked up an offer from Georgia. So
unbelievable.
So he's got a lot of schools after him, and Penn State, Syracuse, Boston College. I'm going to leave at West Virginia, Wake Forest. There's a number of schools after him, and he's worked really hard to earn all these opportunities. So it'll be pretty exciting this spring to see, as he takes his visits, and then hopefully, by summer maybe narrows it down and makes a commitment. But we've been really lucky. You name off those guys. The reason we're having the success is, you guys know, like, you got great players, as coaches, you just sort of point them in the right direction, get out of their way, and we've been lucky. So,
but when we were talking earlier, then you were mentioning, you're talking about those teams, and then you popped off Georgia, and when you got people like that coming to your place, you have some big time.
That's definitely big time.
We work hard to try to make sure we do everything we can to showcase our kids in whatever manner it is, and we've always told families as they join our program, we want the Brighton football experience to be the best possible experience for your child, no matter what that means. And for some of the kids, it means they've never been a part of a team before, and this is the first time they get to be with other kids and have that camaraderie. So for them, we're going to try to do everything we can for those guys. And then for other guys like Zamar and Matthew, where our dream is to win a title and then play Division I football, well, then we're going to do everything we can to help you kind of accomplish those goals. And for all the communications you put out with coaches, you get a lot back. But for when Georgia calls, that's all the way up here, and they ask, they don't even know where in the state we're located. The first thing we asked was, how's the weather? And I told them, actually, it's warmed up. It's 30 degrees. Like, 30 degrees? I go, yeah, it's 50 degrees warmer than it was over the weekend. So when you talk to guys like that and they're interested in kids in your program, it's very humbling from where we started 14 years ago.
Yes. That is just awesome. That is just, and I'm glad that you let people hear that a lot of hard work, and you got a little athletic ability, and They're going to come knocking at the door. So,
Yep, they'll find you. They'll find you. That's for sure.
one thing off of that, too, a little bit, goes with, see, a lot of these kids get hung up on the AAU stuff. And that's kind of bugging me. And I've heard this from a lot of college coaches, big-time coaches. And some of them tell us that they'll never go talk to an AAU coach. Now, they will watch kids play AAU, but they'll never go to an AAU because they don't know what kind of grades the kid has. They don't know how he acts off the field or, in a classroom or, what kind of kid he is, what kind of parents, whatever, because... there's a lot of money on the line.
Yeah, I mean, if you go even, in this case, every single one of the schools I just rattled off, one of the first things they do before they're going to offer a kid, they contact me, ask about the character, ask about the parents, because it's all trickled up. Colleges don't want to deal with a parent that's a little bit, unrealistic, and they want to see a transcript. And it doesn't matter if you're whatever your measurables are, where you're rated, they want to see all those things, and they want to check all those boxes because it's a massive investment to have a kid now, and they've even said, a lot of these Division I schools have said now with the age of NIL and everything, they're dealing with agents more than they are with high school coaches and parents, and they don't love that. And so when they want to be able to make sure that if we have to go the route of then talking to agents and money, well, let's make sure that everything else is set and that these grades, and we're not going to get hit by a surprise before we have to talk to somebody. So if it doesn't go through a coach and if it doesn't go through their high school, chances are that offer might not be as real or legitimate as you think it is.
Yes.
The big thing now is 7-on-7. These kids go, they think they're going to get scholarships out of.
Right. And that's the tricky thing. Like, there's a place for it. I look at, my fifth grade son, if he plays 3 sports, but if he could just do football all the time, he'd love it. And there's a place for it. He does like this spring flag football league with his friends, but it's to have fun and to play football. And he knows that's not real football. Right. He knows that like you get to see if a kid's really tough, even at his age. They know there could be a kid making plays there. You got to put the pads on. You got to go. There's still a level of physicality that you have to have in football, no matter what. And that's where the real football's played. And every college coach will tell you they want to see the game film. They want to see all that. And they want to see you in pads. So the 7-on-7 is great, and it shows it can highlight athleticism. It can certainly draw eyeballs. But before it moves any further than that, then they need to check that box of seeing you in pads and seeing you play for your high school team. So.
Let's talk a little bit about this past season.
Absolutely. Love it. Love to.
Can't talk enough about
Love to.
Basically, just seeing you guys, taking that next step, and that's getting to the finals. And that experience alone is, we've been there, multiple times. But just having your kids see that, I think it does. It gives you an advantage.
Absolutely. I've heard you guys mention it on your show a bunch of times, and even last year when we came here and talked, 2 seasons ago when we were going through the state run for the first time, you're just in it, and so you don't really think about that experience factor. You're just like, well, it's a game. We can coach this up. We can do this. But then you get to like the state semifinals, and we lose to Whitesboro, and you look across, and even getting off the bus, I knew right away, like, okay, the way they're getting off the bus, they're a team that's done this before, and we hadn't. And when you reflect in the offseason, you're like, wow, there really is something to that experience factor. So this year, when we were fortunate enough to get out of Section 5, which is a task of its like, I thought that was the most difficult part of our season, was just surviving Class A football in Section 5. When we were able to get to the state level, we'd done that before, and we'd been there, and the teams that we were playing hadn't advanced that far the year before, so we just felt we knew how to handle it, and we felt comfortable. And our kids, we had a lot of returners, and they felt comfortable. And so that experience factor is huge. By the time we got to the Dome, it was, again, similar type of thing. We've heard you talk about it, is get there early and take it in so that it's not just a shock when you hit the field. But it still is a shock. No matter what you try to do, you get on there, and all of a sudden, these lights are a lot brighter than they are when you're playing at some high school on Friday night. And
the ceiling,
and so I thought our kids played hard, and it was great. But there was an experience factor that that Rye had that we didn't have, and if we're ever lucky enough to get back there, then hopefully, now we have that experience and we can manage it a little bit better. But for sure, it was a great run, and it was awesome to get there. But now, if we can be lucky, we'd love to be able to punch through.
For you guys as coaches, and now some of your players, you had that experience. So, like you said, hopefully, sectionals, and if you ever do get back to that point, it's not your first rodeo
right
anymore.
Yeah, sure.
I mean? It's just something that it's adjustment.
Yeah, for sure.
And people don't understand it if they're not in it.
Right. And even the little things like the logistics behind the scenes, like all the gate passes and making sure like everybody's got like just all this non-football stuff that is extra,
making sure the
in
kids
games like that. Yeah, like all of it. We had a kid.
What?
We had it again. We didn't. All of a sudden, you're on the bus ride, and I get a text from the back of the bus, and the kid had been thinking about it the entire ride, and we're like 5 minutes from the dome. Coach, I've been replaying this. I'm very confident I do not have my game pants. What do you mean you don't have your game? So it's just, those kind of things that you're still dealing with teenage kids, and it's going to happen. So
one year we're playing the finals, and we get there, and we had a kid forgot his helmet. I called him up, and I said, go up to school, I know they don't lock their lockers. Go in their locker. And
I have the bolt cutters.
They have bolt cutters? So, it's just, it happens, know? And no matter how many times you tell the kids,
doesn't matter.
Check this, but it's all part of the experience.
For sure.
And as coaches, then after that, we load up extra pants, extra jerseys.
That kid didn't want to tell you.
Oh, you could tell he'd been waiting the entire ride, and finally there was nothing else could be done at that point.
I can't go back.
Well, what did you do?
We were lucky enough that because we had planned to get there so early, and this is the thing, we always plan for those things, and this is the one time like I didn't have extra pants, and luckily we had left so early that we had a JV coach that hadn't left Rochester yet, went to the locker room, grabbed the box of pants from him. So it ended up being okay, but I'm just saying, like, you got to be kidding me.
It's all part of the experience.
Yeah, for sure.
The good, the bad, and everything.
Yeah, all of it.
So now we're in the off season. Well, I mean, let's go back again. Let's go back and talk about your season. I don't want to get off there.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me about it, because it wasn't the going through Section 5 and now you get into states.
Right. No, it was we knew we had a lot of talent coming back, and we had a lot of young talent that was stepping up. So in terms of the talent aspect going into last season, we were feeling great about it, but we knew that we had a massive leadership void. The class that had won it in the year before in 24, it was these seniors and a good core of them that had been 3-year varsity starters. So they were such a player-led team that we knew once they were graduated that we were going to have a huge void that we had to fill. And luckily we had, some seniors that were pretty awesome, Amari Snowden, Charlie Messina, Matthew Heininger, but there was still a void. There was definitely, it start the year, there was a lot more coach-led kind of thing. And then, we started the year feeling good, and then we hit this just slew of injuries that was happening. And so our offensive line, by the time we hit sectionals, we had started 6 or 7 different 5 guys, just because we were getting beat up, and different than the year before. We kind of knew, back in the old everyone's in Class A, which I prefer, one Class A bracket, but it was one of those deals where you have a 4-win season, you still might not make sectionals. This year, being A1, A2, we kind of knew, like, we just have to keep getting better and be healthy at sectionals. So, there were a few weeks in there where we weren't having as much success, but we made conscious choices to say, you're not ready to play, we're not putting you in. Whereas the year before, we probably would have not forced them to be unhealthy, but pushed them to get back a little bit faster. Yes. But we were like, okay, you're cleared, but let's take another week, and so that we can be so that we can be fully healthy. And I think that was, even when we played Webster Schrader in the last week of the regular season, they gave us everything we had, but we had a couple guys that didn't play, and that game didn't go our way, but it also helped us because we got to feel out their style of play, and then we knew that if we could be healthy when we played them in the finals, we might have a better shot. And we were healthy once we hit sectionals, and then we just got things rolling. So so we were really fortunate for that to all time up the way it did, and then just get things rolling. So it was a good run towards the end.
But those are things that people, mom and dad, people, they don't. That's not going through them.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right. And that's as again, it speaks to the culture in our program, not only from us, but our players and our parents, like our booster club, the experience that they all have collectively. They all kind of have a better idea of what's going on, so they know, like, we lose a game, in the middle of the season to Hilton where we got blanked. Like, I think it was 22-0. We were a shell of ourselves, but they understood why. And it wasn't like the sky's falling and now you have parents calling you, why are you haven't lost in 2 years? And that happens sometimes. In some programs, you hit the first, road, the first bump in the road, and all of a sudden everyone's raining down on you.
It's like the NFL.
Yeah, we're fortunate enough for our parents that they know that wasn't us, that we were going to fix it, and then also that we were still providing a great experience for the kids. So we were really fortunate in Brighton to have really supportive parents. So that helps in a long season where it's a lot out of them too. The parents are going along for the ride too and doing a lot, and so we were lucky. That helps.
And that's all a part of having a successful program. And now that you're kind of implanting into that with the Brighton, logo and what Brighton football is all about, it's everybody's in. Your game against Webster in the finals, I was there, and I truly, I like watching football now from my angle.
Yeah.
It's a lot less pressure.
Yeah, sure, I bet.
But just watching you guys, and your kids on the sideline, everybody's into it. I look behind in the bleachers, and everybody is bought in.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that reminded me back of, I want to go back to old Fairport days when my father was out there with the Santini.
Yeah.
And like the whole community was involved. Every kid on the team you could see was, it really was special.
That's a humbling comparison because I remember those days growing up, but that's been really, really cool the last few years, is that it is a whole community investment, and we have, even when we were leaving for the state playoffs, like this parade through the school, and just all the teachers, all the students, and the community coming out to games, and everybody support the youth program. Everyone is invested, and then even alumni. Like I've heard, I have a meeting in next break with guys from the 1969 team. They were undefeated, and they were this legendary team. They were forever, for a long, long time, the best team in program history. And I'm going to get together with 7 of those guys and just talk and get to hear from them. And that level of investment from all the people around has just been awesome. And that's, and then that finals game you talk about, like when we went out there, that experience factor. We'd been to Brockport before. We'd walked the same locker rooms, everything. We did that the year before. So fortunately, we're on the same sideline that we were the year before. So we were just comfortable there.
That goes a long way.
It does. And we felt, really, and we were really excited too, just having felt out Schrader just a few weeks before that. Those guys are tough as nails, and they come back the second half. They put in the other quarterback, and he starts slinging it all over. So we were holding on for dear life, but we were able to make just enough plays to hold on. But our guys they were ready for that kind of moment, and so that was exciting.
Yes. So for people out there that are watching this, younger coaches that are, take this advice, because it's very, it goes a long way. If you've never played at a stadium before with your kids, see if you can get out there before. Get it there as early as possible. It makes a difference.
Absolutely. You even look at, we've always kind of done this. When I started coaching in Brighton, all of a sudden we were playing teams I hadn't coached against before because I was in the larger classification. So we were going to high schools that I'd never been to before. So one thing that we would do is we try to actually map out, like kind of stop by, have somebody stop by early or in the week and just try to get a layout of like, where's the lock, where do they drop us off, where do we go, just because I hate getting off the bus, I don't like just questioning time or just confusion time. Like, where's the bathroom? I like having everybody have a set plan of, we're getting off the bus, you're turning left to go here, then we're going right, so that as soon as we step off, everyone is kind of detail oriented. So so those are all things that I think have helped us travel, go on the road even in the regular season. But even you look at the state playoffs, we hadn't been to those venues, but thank Google Maps, things like that. We were able to kind of say, okay, they say we're dropping off here, that means we're walking here. So those are things that we talk about as a team in our day before walkthrough, like when we go through our kind of TikTok of how the day is going to go for game day, just wanting to make sure all those little details are set so that the guys are just focused on every step they take leading into kickoff. So.
It just makes it comfortable for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's, you watch that on TV when NFL teams go to other places, how everything, like their bus, the food, the airplane, everything, their hotel rooms, everything's set. There's no thought process.
Right.
And that is so important.
You want to eliminate uncertainty.
Yes.
The players.
100%.
And the coaches.
100%.
Panic.
Yeah.
All right, where do we go?
Because every time, I always, and I'm that way too, you get anxious, and anytime there's a moment where you don't know exactly what your next step is supposed to be during pregame, that's time for nervousness to set in or uncertainty, like you said. So we like to have that really scripted, down to the minute about what we're doing up until kickoff. So our guys are very familiar with the routine. Even when we get to the state level, they don't give you, that it's not, you're not guaranteed as much warm up because of the game before. So we talk about, here's plan A, we get the full warm up that we're used to. Here's plan B, we only get the 20 minutes here, so that our kickers, our specialists understand, okay, we're hitting plan B, I'm going to go over here to get my kicks in, so everybody knows exactly what they're doing.
It takes the thought process out so they can just go and play and
absolutely
try to enjoy.
Yeah.
After listening to you today, I'm starting to see, I know you've hit great players, which obviously you need to be successful, but I think you're a big part of that. I mean,
I'm a piece of it. Again, these are not 100% my idea. Like, it's a collective. Again, Michael Weimer, Drew Fox, John Morton's been our staff for a long time. When we go through this, it's a collective process of how do we get better at it. I think one thing that, helped us kind of not have a hangover effect from winning the first title was that we keep to the routine we do every year. The season ends, and we all get together and talk about, we put together a document of what went well, what didn't go well, and then we hit the off season with, let's plan out how do we get better at this. And we always look at just how we practice, like what part of practicing is still just a little too loose, where do we find a little bit of wasted time, and especially with this generation of kids, the answer isn't to stay out on the field longer because their attention span's gone. Like, how can we actually stay on the field maybe less and get more done during that time? So we're always looking at that stuff, and so those other coaches, everyone's got their pocket of practice that they're in charge of, and everybody's looking at how do we squeeze every minute out of it and make it a little bit better. So it's definitely a collective process.
I got a funny one I'm going to put out. It's along the lines of, being comfortable with your team. And actually, Bob Ebert, when I was at Aquinas, we played Sweet Home at the time it was called the Ralph.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've never been there before, but I'd been there a couple times. And the day we drove the bus to the game, our head coach, who I can't mention his name because he's my brother-in-law.
Your brother-in-law. I know
we
this.
pull up to the stadium. He pulls the bus up. He's not driving, but he tells the park right here. We're at the front gate. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, what are you doing? And he goes, we got to go around the back of the tunnel. That is a part of, you know what I mean? And the kids, though, it broke up a lot of the tension inside because now the kids are all laughing about it and all that. But it is very, very important. It really is. Especially, you don't even think about it, but playing kids that are coming up from JVs, say you're playing at Irondequoit and your JV's never played there. But you know what I mean? Just like you said, just knowing when you get off the bus, guys, the bathroom's right there. Locker room's right here. You know what I'm saying? Well,
and, talking about the kids for JV, I think that's been a big part of, the last few years is that we always have these group of kids that we pull up that we think are going to, be starters the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And when you make these playoff runs, they get like our guys got 7 weeks of games in practice past the regular season
Right.
this year, or whatever it was.
It's like a whole nother
8
season.
games. Yeah, a whole nother season. So that part, when you have graduation and you lose guys, well, we have guys that maybe they didn't play as much, but they've been there. They've experienced what it's like to go to they experienced what it's like to take the long bus ride. So that level of, the things that you can do to get those young guys ready, that's just that's like a very hidden piece where it's not the off season, but that is valuable time that you get with it. Yeah, and that was one thing that I hate now with Section 5, that there isn't, that whole Connors and Ferris Bowl. We used to joke about it when we first took over Brighton. We don't want to be in the Connors and Ferris, we want to be in sectionals. But we were in Connors and Ferris for a few years, the first few, and we always had 2 extra games past the regular season. And so we got 2 extra weeks of practice and competitions that built experience for us to then get over the hump once we were in sectionals and not in Connors and Ferris. And now you have teams, especially with this A1, A2 split, there were a handful of teams, that had 7 games max, or they lost in the first one. They just had 8, and that was it. And then they're in the, like, I know those coaches, they want to play more, but, their kids are, they don't want to get hurt for winners, but whatever. Like, it needs to be built in. I wish there was a way for it to be built in where you're going to be playing 9-10 games, regardless of what they are, and Section 5 is going to help us assign those things. Because I know for us, if we didn't have that, I don't know that we would have been able to get over the hump eventually without it.
Talking about the Connors and Ferris, there's pros and cons, and the thing I did like about it, which was playing extra games, especially if you got a young team.
Yeah.
Especially, but in any, type of team, is if that's where you end up, that's where you end up. What I did not like about it was playing those games like on a Wednesday.
Yes.
And I know that the officials and, especially now these days with that, but, try to, make it on a weekend.
But you want to make it seem important. You don't want to make it seem like a...
Play at a neutral field. Go to, if you're in Rockport, play, just make it
right. There's ways
special.
You can do it. I always come back to, like, I look at Section 5 and how it's so, Class A is so competitive, and it's so hard to win here, and then the fact that we have so many teams and it's split into A1, A2, so then you take away a regular season game when we fought so hard to even get it back to 8, and now all of a sudden we're back to 7. Like, I don't know. I wish there was a better way to do that, because we're just not playing enough football overall, I think.
That was one of my big pet peeves as a coach when I was coming. I mean, you're looking at other states, and you're seeing 10-game regular seasons and 12-game regular seasons or 11, and I'm like, they're playing more football. That's why those kids, you got more Division I kids, because they're getting more looks, and that. I honestly think, and I've had some coaches go against me. I said, we need to start earlier. We start August 1st.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had some coaches say, that's great. But I've also had some coaches say,
they don't want to give up their vacation.
That's my summer.
I'm already coaching. Our youth football starts August 1st. So I'm already coaching youth football August 1st. I might as well coach high school, too.
Yeah.
And it's not like for us, I mean, we're doing stuff all year round, so, and we're working, every day in the summer. So for us to start early would be great. I'd love it, because then you can officially start instead of having to do camps and do all this. So we could actually just start practice. I would love that. Get another game or 2 in.
Yeah, even have another week of practice.
Yeah,
during that if you're playing earlier in the month, starting, have another have that scrimmage week.
Yeah,
scrimmage week back.
Yeah,
I know. Our guy, George Giordano, won't like that too much.
I know. That'll cut into that for sure.
But, it's just, always try to make it better. We're all in this to try to make it better.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Now, do you have a non-league game this year, or are you? Yeah,
so every team had like an open bye, but then you fill it. So we're back to Monroe County League now, and we hadn't been for a really long time. Right. So Eastridge reached out, so we're playing Eastridge week 7. But we're in Division 2 this year, so we got Irondequoit during the season, which is always that's a heck of a game, and Webster Thomas and those schools. But it is going to be a little weird because Victor, Schrader, Hilton, those guys are in the Division I, so we're not going to see them until, knock on wood, hopefully see them in sectionals. Yeah. But that's one thing that does make me a little bit nervous. We've got to figure out as coaches how to prepare for that, because what's benefited us the last few years is we played, like I said, had we not played Schrader week 7, I don't know if we would have beat them in the finals, because we were able to feel some things that you can't just see on film. Mm-hmm. So that part does make me a little bit nervous, but we're just going to have to figure out how to navigate that when the time comes, hopefully.
Yeah. It's a big part of it. And just, like I said, being familiar with what you're doing.
Yep.
For everybody, the coaches too.
Yeah.
Now, were you for Federation football, or?
I honestly was one of those guys. I didn't really care. I just wanted. I'm always for more games, and then an equitable scheduling, including sectionals. Like, how do we get a situation where the best 8 teams are making it, and how do we get a situation where we're not sitting here and looking at the schedule and one is obviously much more difficult than the other. Obviously, that's a very difficult thing to do. I don't have answers for it. But that was always my and if going back to leagues helps that, then that's great. If I don't know what the answer is. I know, leagues or not leagues, I would prefer if we had one Class A champion and not 2 separate A1, A2. I know that it's nice to be able to award more, but I know even for us, and talking to the East coaches, like when we had to play that A1, A2 qualifier, to us, going into that, it's like it was nice to win the section. But if we don't win this game, then like that, what is it doesn't make it feel that championship is special. So I wish there was still a way to do it where it was just, and I don't know how you would figure it out, because I think there's going to be like 18 teams in A, so I don't know how you would do that. It would leave a lot of teams out, but I wish there was a way to have just one playoff, but
like Double A, everybody knows that they're sectionals no matter what.
Right. So I wish there was a way to make that happen, but I don't know how you would do that.
I don't know. Well, I did hear down in Pennsylvania they're looking at maybe not going as far as classifications. They're going to look at teams like over the last 10 years, see who they've been playing, and then the last 5 years, and then try to match them up like that. Have a 3-year schedule. So now it's rescheduled, so you're going to have teams that are going to go up maybe a little bit, but they're strong.
Right.
Or teams that are going to go down even though they're big.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just to make it more, and after 3 years they're going to go back and look at it again. Right.
I mean, I wish there was something, because when you look across the state level, I think Section 5 is one of those rare sections where there's just so many Class A. It's not like that everywhere else.
That's true.
So you can't. It's hard to argue like, well, we need to shift where the beds cutoffs are, because for the rest of the state maybe it works fine. Yeah. It's just for us it's so hard. And but that also why I think winning a sectional championship is so special in Class A. I mean, if you can win that, regardless of what happens after, that's a pretty to go through the competition. We played some of these programs around here are so talented, and the coaching is so good. It really forces us to kind of have our A game every single week. So to
steal a word from George Giordano, it's a grinder.
Yeah, it is, 100%.
And your Thomas game, are you guys playing them this year?
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
You got to deal with that.
Yeah.
Watkins.
Oh, Schrader.
Oh,
Schrader. He's Schrader. Yeah. Yeah, he's back again. I mean, they're just that's what worries me, because Watkins and then Bryson Terry, their linemen, like they're both back, but we wouldn't see them until sectionals, which is rare. It's different. So like that was one of those ones. Like Bryson had been a transfer from McQuaid, and we hadn't gone against a lineman like him all season. So getting to feel him out week 7 helped us for the sectional championship game. And same with Watkins. Like we had played him the year before, but he was younger then, and now all of a sudden he's a much more focal point in the offense and physical and running the ball. So he ran all over us that first time. So then you could say, okay, we got to have a different plan, and So that not playing them in the regular season, those teams, and obviously Hilton and Victor, like that level of physicality that those teams like to play with, makes me a little bit nervous. But hopefully, we can prepare. Rondequoit we will see week 2, and that's always a game for us that'll go down to the wire, and it's one of those coin toss games because Danny Fichter does an incredible job with those guys. They're always physical and well coached and disciplined. So, that's definitely going to be a big.
I'll have to show up for that game. Root for you guys.
That'll be a good one. That'll be a big
week
one.
2?
Yeah, week 2.
Yeah, if you come, well, I can maybe get you on the side.
Geez, you think so? Wow.
Those games are tough because it's like I'm at a Rondequoit, and you guys were playing them, and it's like you're out over there. You know what I mean? But I really. Which I know I'm going to see. I'm going to see a great game.
Yeah. It'll be a physical football game, that's for
just
sure.
Just let the kids play it out. And I'll tell you, though, you guys really knew when to turn. When the lights got brighter, your kids really, they played better and better. And
they did. And again, like I said, my assistant coaches, like we had a plan going into the year about making sure that we keep ramping up, and make sure mentally and physically when we hit sectionals, they're ready to turn it up to another notch, and they all, and it starts. Our assistant coaches did a great job, and then Matthew Heininger, Amari Snowden, Charlie Messina, they were our 3 senior captains, and when we hit sectionals, those got the way we just came out to our first. It was Monday, our first lift at 3:00 that Monday. You could just feel. Okay, these guys are ready to go. So, as a coach, I walked in and I was like, okay, I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be all right. So.
And Matthew my God, did he just step up?
Yeah.
I mean, he went from, you kind of knew him last year and all that, but this past year, it was like at times he was a man playing with boys.
Yeah, he wasn't going to be denied. I mean, that was one thing that we had always said is, well, as long as we have Matt and Duke, Amari Snowden's nickname's Duke, as long as we have Matt and Duke, I feel like we've got a good shot. So, and that'll be the big test. We bring back a lot of talent, a lot of experience. We're loading up with some young guys that are going to move up that are really, really talented. But we're losing Matt and Duke and that level of, and I think they're guys that were just their will to win. We've got to figure out how to replace that, but that's the fun of high school coaching and trying to figure out how to do that.
It's like a 2-year team.
Yeah.
How are your numbers?
They're pretty strong. We're always around 40, give or take, on the varsity, and we will be again. And our JV's similar, so numbers are good. They're healthy. Kids are enthusiastic, so it's fun.
Winning seems to bring out more kids.
Yeah,
they want to be part
it
of
helps. And but even beyond that, I think what the buy-in in our community has been is that. The Brighton football experience has been really positive. I think one thing that our whole school does great is that when a kid's having struggles academically or at home, dealing with whether it's food insecurity at home, whether it's, a new student that's dealing with, the ins and outs of adjusting, our counselors, our administrators, our teachers all are wonderful about communicating with myself and the coaches and being a partnership. So I think, families, I've always said, it's hard to raise kids these days. You don't know where they are, but you have so many more eyeballs together when you play football in Brighton than if you didn't. So we have a lot of families that are saying, like, okay, they ask a lot. These coaches demand a lot, but it's worth it. Even if they're not getting all the playing time, it's worth it to be a part of this family and have all these people helping to raise your kid. And so that's been helpful.
Now you have your own son, right?
Yeah, my oldest graduate. He played for us on our first championship team. Now he's a freshman at the University of Michigan and studying astrophysics and having a great time there. And then my middle doesn't play sports, isn't involved in like the theater and the arts, and was awesome at the school musical a week ago. And then my youngest is playing in the youth program for us. And so all the different families that are in the program I also know on the personal level. So that obviously helps. And
it does.
So it's been good.
But just going back real quick to that thing about your counselors in your school. Everybody to have that success, you need them all.
You have to. You have to, and that it's been we're so lucky. I mean, our principal of the high school was a Brighton football coach years ago, and he was the line coach for however many years ago, was a former high school lineman at a small school, a different part of the state, but loves football. So anything we need, any support, he's there to let us know, to help us. And the assistant principals are all fans of the program. And most by and large, our kids are good kids. So then the teachers want to help them and want to root for them, and they also understand, hey, they're going to let me know or let the kids know if academically there's anything we have to worry about early, so that we're not sitting there at the end of the marking period scrambling because the kid's not doing well. So we kind of jump into it soon and help them out. So
Yep. All right, we're just about done. That went by kind of quick, didn't it?
that's great.
I know,
We can talk football all day
all
long.
day, all night. It's one thing we don't get short of is talking football. But a couple things I got to touch upon before we get out of here is first, subscribes. Everybody out there that has subscribed to our channel, I say thank you, appreciate you. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to our channel. Just go hit the subscribe button, hit the like, and if you have any comments, throw us a comment. So it's all good. After that, anybody that's interested in being a sponsor, we're taking on sponsorships for this year. If you're interested in that, please give me a call, and we'll sit down and set something up. And it would be great to have, partners helping us along with this, just like we were talking about running a football program.
Absolutely.
If you don't have people helping you, it makes things a lot tougher.
Yeah.
But, and the other thing I want to mention, too, before we get out of here is this episode, I should have said this in the beginning, is going to be dedicated to a couple people that... a couple weeks ago, Bob's sister, Nancy, passed. So, they were going through that. And last week, my brother passed away. So, this episode today is going to be in honor of those two. And they're big football people. My brother played football his whole life. Being the son of a football coach. I guess, it's in the blood. So, and Nancy being around, I know she was around every game up in Aquinas and helping out.
I made her sell programs.
Yeah. Yep. Just being involved. She just wanted to be involved with it. So, we lost a couple good people there like that we dearly love. So, now next week, this will be on tonight. In 2 weeks, we're going to have the head coach from Avon in, Andy Eglert. He is back-to-back. Avon is back-to-back.
They win a lot down there.
Yeah.
They win a lot.
They've been winning a lot. And so we're going to have him come back up and sit down with him in a couple weeks and talk about Avon football. And they got a little juggernaut running down there.
That's for sure.
Actually, the last 3-4 years. So those guys have done a great job. And
Kind of picked up the slack a little bit for Kel-Mum Leroy. And that.
Well, I think it's going to take Cal-Mum Leroy a little bit to adjust. I mean, they did make it to the semis this year, combined, and there's another story that goes along with that I'm not going to get into.
I never thought I'd see the day that they would be merged. It'd be like us and McQuaid.
Well,
Oh, man.
I watched this thing, and we're going to talk about it real quick. It's Section 5 Archives. If you type in Section 5 Archives, high school sports, it'll redo all the games. Now, the one season it showed was the one season where Cal-Mum won Class C, and Leroy was in Class D, and they both won sectionals. They're interviewing Mike Maticelli after the game. And he was talking about that. Then he started talking a little bit about Leroy. And he said, now this is in 1997. He said, boy, wouldn't it be interesting if us and Leroy combined? And how people would be with that or whatever. And I'm like, that was like 30 years ago.
Well, I know those guys. Drew Fox, who's my defensive coordinator, was a great player at Leroy, won titles there when he was there. And then Sean Ramsey, who's the head coach at Bishop Kearney, was on my staff for a while. They were all teammates at Fisher when they were in college, but Sean played at Cal-Mum. And so they used to always talk about, man, if we were together, no one would stop us. We go play fair. We'd take everybody down. So those guys have been talking like that for a long time about if they were together. So
give them a little more time, and that may come true. So
they had a lot of tough kids.
Oh yeah,
they
were tough. That's definitely.
There's not a short of tough kids from Leroy or Cal-Mum. I don't even know if you know this real quick. My dad's from Cal-Mum. My mom's from Leroy.
They have a lot of stories like they used to always tell us stuff like that.
She was a cheerleader. He was a football player. So.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I just want to say thank you. Appreciate
Thank you,
buddy.
This is awesome. I love this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Just keep up the good work, and
We'll
like
try.
I said, it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work.
It is, but
You
it's
know?
fun work.
It is fun work.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody stay tuned. We're going to be back in 2 weeks from today at 5 p.m. And stay tuned, and we're just going to keep on going. So you guys ready? We're on 3. Keep it real. Section 5 football. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Keep
Keep it real. Section 5 football.
Good night, everybody. Have a great night.
one in a million, super rich. Got so much dough, I don't know what to do with it. Suddenly, a part of me just wants to go back to how it used to be. Super rich, got so much dough, I don't know what to do with it.